alternative? The alternative is ilhad, secular liberal atheism, which is shocking since atheism, in Latin, is a negation. This is salb. It's a qadiyya salbiya. And qadiyya salbiya is a type of tasdeeq in our tradition. Meaning, when I say that something is something, what we call al-qadiyya al-ijabiyya or al-mujiba, or I say that this is not something, I negate it. I negate the predication from the subject. I say this is not something. Al-qadiyya as-saliba. I can only do this with tasdeeq, which is what? Which essentially is certainty, or as close as you can get, ghalabatul dhann, that this actually is the case. So now for me to say this is not something, like atheism, this is the tasdeeq. You are making a negation that must be rooted in knowledge. It must be rooted in knowledge. What knowledge does anybody have that God does not exist? What proof does anybody have that God does not exist? So it's, for somebody to say secular liberal atheism is really a contradiction. Because for you to be secular and liberal, secular, just no role of religion, fine. But for you to be a liberal, essentially for you to be an idealist, which means that everything that you are experiencing is an expression of your imagination. Let me say that again. Everything that you are experiencing is an expression of your imagination. Ontologically and epistemologically for some as well. That the world itself is really a projection of your mind and your imagination. And even knowledge itself. And so we can never have absolute truth or never actually know something with any kind of level of certainty. So for you to be one, to accept that paradigm, you are essentially accepting a paradigm that says, I don't know what is right or what is wrong. I don't know anything. Nothing is even real. This here is where we have a big problem. A big problem because this is fundamental to the corrosion of life itself. Because narcissism comes from exactly that. Because you are the most important thing, since nothing else is actually real except your experiences. Your experiences are all that are real. And narcissism is never going to be good for this world. That's number one. Secondly, if there is no truth, then لَقَالَ مَنْ شَاءَ مَا شَاءَ. Then anybody can say whatever they want. Which means that you can have the most extreme of extremists. But if it's live your truth, as we hear it today, where do you think that these proverbs or these slogans come from? Live your truth. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. No, it's not. No, it's not. Something is beautiful in and of itself. You may not have the eye to see it, but things are beautiful. Truth is truth. You may not have the heart to accept it, but truth is truth in and of itself. Corresponds to reality as it is. Which alternative makes more sense? On the one hand, look at the nata'ij, the outcomes of such a paradigm, like a radical secular liberalism, where there is absolutely no truth except your imagination. This is causing for chaos, and this is why Hobbes imagined the role of the state, because he believed that human beings are inherently evil, and that the only way that you can have a level of a world without chaos and anarchy is to have state that governs people, where you have these mutual benefits for which you have these checks and balances now that allow you and stop you from harming other people, and etc, etc, etc. Even that, I would argue, that say, but why do you need to have a state to put checks and balances to remove anarchy? What's wrong with anarchy anyway? What's wrong with anarchy? How can you prove that anarchy is bad? How can you prove that stealing is bad? Murder is bad? You cannot prove any of these things unless you have a clear paradigm of thought. So people that go towards atheism go because of these immoralities that they are objecting to God because of. They will look and say, how can God say X, Y, and Z? How can God do X, Y, and Z? There's evil in the world, so how can there be God? Okay. There's something that you don't like, and therefore there's no God. So how do you know that this, whatever it is that you don't like, is wrong? And it's definitely not true. There's no way you can make that argument. Whatever you are preaching as theists, or let's say Muslims in our regard, whatever you are preaching, I don't like it, I don't agree with it, it goes against my conception of human rights and X, Y, and Z. Okay. Why don't you like it? Because it's wrong. Prove it's wrong. Because I don't like it. My feelings, my imagination. Well, your imagination versus my imagination. And this is why when push comes to shove, really what it comes down to is, well, no. What I mean is the imagination of the West. The imagination of the secular liberal West, of what we like, what we collectively, I say collectively, it's not agreed upon. They can't even agree on politics. Nobody agrees on pretty much anything. But we as a collective have decided to agree on that we like this. But you don't collectively agree on anything. You've got the right fighting the left. You've got woke on one side. You've got conservatives on the other side. You've got people sat in between. You've got people all over the place. Look at the tafawut bayn an-nas. Look at these differences between people. Why? Because you do not have a system that allows you to think and to believe and to know things that correspond to truth. You don't have a system. It's like trying to get to a different city and you have no vehicle to take you there. You don't even have legs to walk on. No train, no car, no bus. You've got no way to get there because you do not have a system that is rooted in God. The only way you can have a moral framework that is true and absolute is if it is anchored in reality. You take realism away, and this is why, and I'll end on this. When you look at most of our books in Kalam, many of them, La Siyama, namely the books of the Maturidis, they will begin with حقائق الأشياء ثابتة والعلم بها متحققة. That the essence of things are real, and you can have knowledge of it too. Meaning that we are realists ontologically and epistemologically. That's what that statement means. That we believe that this world and knowledge and being able to affirm and negate all of this is real and conforms to an actual reality as it is, irrespective of my imagination and the fard of a fard, of anybody's imagination. It is completely separate from our minds. We know it through our minds. That's a system that allows you to have sanity. That's a system that allows you to have certainty. That's a system that allows you to have absoluteness. This is why Ilm al-Kalam is a paradigm.